Hi, my name is Melissa David. I am coming to you from Life with Bob, a blog about parenting a child with a mental illness. Today I am reporting from my extremely cluttered kitchen. I'm going to pretend like I don't notice how cluttered it is right now. I could be in my car again, but I'm done weirding my neighbors out for today. So today I'm going to talk about how to explore the world with your child who has a mental illness. It takes a lot of extra time and effort and planning and anxiety to do so. If you want to go on trips, if you want to go out and do stuff, I feel like that's a tough thing to do with children, period, but it's especially tough if you have a kid who struggles with emotional, behavioral type things going on. I recently went on a spring break 7-day road trip with both my kids alone. I'm told that I am brave to have done that, but it would have been a lot braver to try to stay home for 10 days straight with just the three of us, completely bored. Would have ended in tears. So we went on a road trip instead. It turned out to be lots of fun with only a few hiccups around the mental illness portion, but I think it's because of a lot of the things that I've learned in the process of going yearly on these road trips with my kids. The first and most important thing is to always plan as if you are going to cancel everything. Every hotel that I get, every reservation I make with national parks, anything that I do on these trips are something that I can do and cancel without suffering monetary damages of some sort. If I need to drop everything and go home, I can go home. If I'm going to show up late somewhere because it took me an hour to get my child outside, that'll be no big deal. So typically I don't go to things that are scheduled and firm because I may not make it to that thing at all that day with my children. And if I do, it might be 2 hours later than I anticipated, or 3 hours earlier. I never know. The other tip is to always have an escape route prepared and to never be embarrassed to take those. So for instance, say you're out, hypothetical, say you're out in the middle of West Virginia going to the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant. There's this giant statue of the terrifying Mothman. Your child starts screaming at the top of his lungs. Not because the Mothman terrifies him, though you do find out later that it did, but because there's a wasp flying around that Mothman, and your child has an overwhelming phobia of wasps. He was literally screaming and yelling and clutching to me like I was about to murder him, which wasn't the case. The wasp was apparently about to murder him, in his point of view. However, the people around us couldn't really tell that. So I had to be able to rush over to the car and get him inside in a way that was not gonna, in some way, hurt him, but was also gonna get him to a safe spot in the least embarrassing for him possible way. I understand his fear of wasps. They're godless creatures with no use as far as I can tell, but he literally does have a phobia that's beyond anything natural. And so trying to sometimes navigate the great outdoors with him can be really hard. Another third tip is to be prepared to take breaks at all times, especially for food, because a hangry child is not an easy person to travel with, let alone a hangry child who has a lot of anxiety and an emotional disorder in the first place. So snacks, breaks, screens if you have them, because if you're on a road trip, you'll never survive without screens. And to keep your own sanity, make sure that things are planned but easily breakable. So yeah, those are tips from my end. Once again, I'm Melissa from Life with Bob, a blog about parenting a child with a mental illness.